I never expected my ex-wife's laughter to mask the heart-wrenching secret behind my 150M mansion. I will never forget the moment everything started to turn. I was standing in the grand foyer, the air thick with tension. The walls, lined with priceless art, felt like they were closing in. The laughter echoed from the back, bright and cheerful, a jarring contrast to the uneasy silence surrounding me. It was almost mocking that my heart raced. Was she serious? Here I was, drowning in regret, while she laughed like everything was just fine. It cut deeper than any knife. Memories flooded back our love story, once so vibrant, now felt like a distant nightmare. I could still remember our wedding day, the vows shared amidst smiles and joy. Now, all that echoed in my mind were the words that led us to this split. Her voice drifted through the house, and each sound sent chills down my spine. I could see her in my mind, hair cascading like silk, eyes sparkling like diamonds. Did she even care? Did she know the truth? The truth about our shattered dreams and broken promises that lurked just beneath the surface of that laughter. The mansion itself was a character in this twisted tale, filled with secrets I never wanted to uncover. Marble floors gleamed coldly under the chandeliers that swayed gently, whispering tales of opulence. Glass windows framed the sprawling gardens, but even the beauty outside offered no comfort. Shadows danced along the walls, reminding me of moments we shared, moments that now only added to my loneliness. As I walked through the halls, memories collided with reality. I caught glimpses of framed photographs, vacations that seemed perfect, moments of happiness that now felt like cruel jokes. Each picture held a piece of me, a piece that crumbled every time I heard her laughter. And then there was the mansion's strange history. Rumors swirled like shadows, of hidden passages and rooms that held secrets. I had dismissed them before, but now they gripped me with a sudden urgency. What if there was something more to this? Something buried deep within the walls of our extravagant home. A noise shattered my thoughts. The laughter stopped abruptly. Silence. I could feel the pulse of my heart in my throat. My hands trembled as I stepped towards the source of the sound. What was she hiding behind that shimmering smile? What lay beneath her laughter? The darkness swayed around me, pushing me forward. I needed to know. I needed to find the shocking truth behind the walls that had witnessed our love, our hurt, and now, our despair. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As I edged closer to the laughter's last echo, a heavy stillness enveloped me, suspending my thoughts in a dark web of uncertainty. A faint glimmer of light filtered through the hallway, beckoning me towards the back of the house where the sound had once danced. The air shifted, laden with memories of better days and the sharp sting of regret. I hesitated, wondering if it was doing more harm than good to uncover what lay beneath her laughter. With each hesitant step, I recalled the warmth of her embrace, the way her laughter had once enchanted me, filling a void I didn't even know existed. Now, those same sounds felt like cruel taunts, echoing the fractures in our marriage. What could be so amusing in a home steeped in sorrow? My heart was a tangled mess of longing, anger, and a faint flicker of hope that the truth could somehow mend what we had broken. Rounding the corner into the sunroom, the atmosphere changed completely. The room was suffused with golden sunlight, casting intricate patterns over the plush furniture. In the far corner, she stood, her silhouette framed by the glowing light, a vision caught between laughter and shadows. I attempted to read her expression, but it shifted too quickly, a mask slipping over something deeper. Is it real this time? I ventured, my voice breaking the stillness, unsure if I was asking about her laughter or the love we once shared. She turned, the smile fading just a fraction, revealing a flicker of vulnerability. Real? What do you mean? I took a breath, feeling the weight of my words. This facade we're living in. Are we really pretending everything is fine? Because I can't continue like this, Alyssa. Every laugh feels like an unraveling thread. Alyssa's laughter returned, this time tinged with something that felt almost desperate. It's easier, isn't it? To laugh than to face all this. She waved her hand dismissively, gesturing to the walls as if they could absorb her pain. Maybe if we both laugh enough, we can convince ourselves that we don't feel broken inside. That I searched for an answer in her eyes, feeling an unseen pull urging me closer. But just as I felt the connection that had simmered beneath our arguments and cold silences, she turned away, pacing to the sunlight pouring through the window. Something close to sorrow flashed across her face, but she masked it with a humor that felt forced. You know, I once thought we'd be raising kids in a house like this. Laughter would echo through the halls, not silence. The mention of a future we had lost sent my heart spiraling. What if I started, but the words caught in my throat? What if we could somehow sculpt a different future, a better reality from the wreckage of our past? A sudden noisy soft thud from somewhere deeper within the mansion caught our attention. We exchanged glances, curiosity mingled with dread. The sense of hidden spaces suddenly felt more ominous. Did you hear that? I asked, my intuition prickling. She nodded, unease flickering behind her eyes. We should check it out. It could be something, yet another secret. I interrupted, the bitterness slipping out before I could curb it. I think we've had enough secrets, don't you? But neither of us turned away, an inexplicable pull drawing us together toward the uncertainty. With spry feet, we crept through the lavish corridors, where every step reverberated like an echo of our fractured past. Shadows swayed dangerously in a dance of unsettling revelations and reluctant truths. The sound sharpened, it was a faint rustle, like whispers flickering just out of reach. As we descended into a forgotten part of the mansion, a hidden door stood ajar ahead, almost begging for someone to discover what lay beyond. My heart raced, anticipation mingled with fear. Together, we stepped into the unknown, feeling the air grow thick with expectation and a vulnerability that required us to confront the past we had so desperately avoided. The door creaked as we entered, dust motes floated in the still air, ensconcing an immense, antique mirror hung against the wall. Yet what caught our attention was not the glimmer of reflection but an old, dusty journal lying at the base of the mirror. My breath caught in my throat as I recognized it, my father's journal, a remnant of his secretive life. Alyssa reached for it first, her fingers brushing against the worn leather cover. Do you think? No, I interrupted harshly, a cold wash of dread coursing through me. I wasn't prepared for this connection between the past and my present pain. What could this reveal about my father, about me? Was it possible it held secrets that could unravel everything we thought we knew? Wait. I grabbed her wrist, my heart pounding with an apprehension that felt heavy with the weight of the years. If we look inside, will it change everything? Can't we just forget? Maybe we should go, but it was too late. Her inquisitive gaze met mine, and I could see in her eyes the same mixture of fear and hope that I felt. A new emotional canyon lay before us, and we were standing at the precipice. With a deep breath that caught the edge of despair, I could feel the world shifting beneath us, teetering on a secret that had the power to alter the course of our destinies forever. Alyssa opened the journal, revealing the first page marked with an inscription, "To uncover truth is to embrace your very own darkness." Her voice trembled as she spoke, and in that moment, my heart fell. The laughter had ceased, but the echoes of our choices had just begun to take shape, leaving us standing on the brink of a revelation, desperate and afraid. And just then, as we leaned closer into the fragile power of the untold story, I sensed a door slam shut somewhere in the upper levels of the mansion. The noise reverberated like a thunderclap, jolting us out of our reverie. My stomach turned with the realization, we were not alone. Retroactive dread clawed at my chest, and with a single, haunting look between us, we both understood we were about to confront more than just our shattered past. We had awoken something malevolent, something buried within these walls. As shadows gathered, the laughter lingered, cryptic as ever, promising that our journey into the heart of this mansion was only just beginning. As the echoes of the door slamming faded into a heavy silence, the gravity of our situation settled around us, palpable and suffocating. I could feel the tension thrumming between Alyssa and me, charged with a mix of fear and something I couldn't quite place, something that might have been hope, though it felt more like a dangerous gamble. Did you hear that too? Alyssa's voice was barely above a whisper, her eyes wide as they scanned the dimly lit corners of the room. It felt as if the walls themselves were closing in, holding their breath alongside us, waiting for our next move. I admitted, my heart racing. Every instinct told me to run, to escape this haunting place filled with our pasts, those memories that felt insurmountable. But don't you think we should, what? Run away from the shadows we've been avoiding? Alyssa interjected, her voice shifting from fear to defiance, almost daring me to back away now. We've spent enough time running, haven't we? The ache of her words washed over me, pushing against the walls I had built inside my heart. It was true, we had run from each other, from our pain, and now, perhaps, from the truth of our shared history. Yet facing the unknown in the dim corners of this mansion felt like a descent not just into darkness, but into layers of ourselves we'd kept carefully concealed. Okay, I finally relented. Let's just open the journal. We might find something important. My attempt at resolve faltered as I grabbed her hand, hoping the warmth of my grip would tether us to something steady as we turned back to the faded leather cover. Alyssa nodded, resolute, and as she flipped open the journal, a cloud of dust danced into the air like the forgotten dreams we had both tried so desperately to leave behind. I leaned in closer, the words humbling in their raw honesty, hinting at a life lived in shadows. My father's life, July 14, 1985, she read aloud, her voice echoing softly, each syllable striking like a chisel against stone. I have finally gathered the courage to seek what I have buried for too long, a secret that has poisoned my family for decades. My blood ran cold as the implications gained weight. I had been running for so long, avoiding the truth of my father's life, but here it was, unspooled in ink and paper, sprawled before us. Alyssa glanced up, concern shading her features. What if your father's truth is directly tied to us? I don't know, I replied, feeling the walls close in again, suffocating under the weight of secrets and unspoken words. It was unbearable but maybe unavoidable. But it's part of our history. We have to face it, she continued reading, her voice faltering as she reached a passage that sent tremors of dread coursing through me. Beneath the laughter in this home lies despair, a darkness that has woven itself into my blood and will eventually claim those lost to its embrace. I fear greatly for my son and the choices he may face once he uncovers the truth. Time seemed to cease. I could feel Alyssa's eyes burning into me, ancient sorrow reflected in her gaze, both of us suddenly aware of the weight of my father's confession. It wasn't just his past, it was a warning for me, a prophecy of our failures. Suddenly, the laughter that had filled these halls felt like an echo of pain rather than joy. I closed my eyes briefly, wishing for clarity, and when I opened them again, I found Alyssa staring up at me, her breath shallow. You have to confront him. This isn't just a story, it's your legacy, and it's tied to ours. As I absorbed her plea, a rush of memories overwhelmed meth love wed born, the years of laughter, and how they had unraveled into silence. What if I'm not strong enough? I murmured. What if studying this instead of running leads to more heartache? Lessons what we have now, then we must do it together, she said softly, and for the first time in a long while, I felt a flicker of warmth in my chest, a bond awakening between us, wrought from shared struggles and the haunting specter of the past. The atmosphere shifted as we turned our attention back to the journal, and a sense of resolve began to blossom within me, a fragile notion but one worth nurturing. Yet as I leaned in closer, a frigid draft swept through the room, casting trembling shadows on the walls. In that moment of distraction, something crashed above us, drowning out our breaths with the sound of what felt like the very weight of the mansion itself falling down upon us. We spun around, hearts racing, and as I looked back toward the journal, the pages fluttered and a piece of paper slipped free, gliding to the floor like a ghost unmoored. I bent down, my pulse quickening, and picked it up, reading the words hastily scrawled in a frantic hand, "You must leave while you can. The laughter hides the truth, and the truth will cost you everything." As the finality of the message set in, dread clawed at my insides, and I cast a glance at Alyssa, whose expression mirrored my own trepidation. All the threads we had been weaving together risked unraveling at that moment, and I knew this journey was about to lead us deeper into the mansion's mysteries, confronting not only our fractured love but truths that could very well tear us apart. The flickering candlelight cast erratic shadows across the walls, transforming the familiar setting into something eerily unrecognizable. As I held the paper tightly in my hand, the warning seemed to pulse with a life of its own, echoing the whispered fears of my father. "The truth will cost you everything." My heart raced, each beat echoing the impending threat cloaked in the mansion's fabric. Alyssa's voice broke through my spiral of dread. "We can't ignore this, can we?" Anxiety laced her words, her eyes darting around the room as though the very walls might come alive with secrets. "I don't know if we have a choice, Alyssa," I said, my voice strained. The thought of what awaited us loomed like a specter in the shadows, casting uncertainty over every step. What if uncovering more leads to destruction? "Maybe," she conceded, stepping closer, her warmth grounding me, "but running away has only brought us here together, facing the unknown. If there's something dark lurking in your father's past, keeping it buried won't protect us." In her gaze lay a determination that pulled me forward, but the weight of my legacy pressed down like an anchor. As I contemplated our next steps, the unsettling nature of the mansion felt almost sentient, as if it had been waiting patiently for us to stumble upon these truths. The laughter that once rang through here now felt like a mask hiding something far more sinister. "No," I whispered, more to myself than to her. "No more running." With a newfound resolve, I turned my attention back to the journal, the flickering light making the letters dance as if they were alive. "Well, read it all." Alyssa nodded, a shared understanding between user fates were intertwined amid the tangled threads of truth and secrecy. As she began to flip through the pages, I caught glimpses of my father's life, unfulfilled dreams, buried regrets, reckless follies, and hidden sorrows. Each word drew us closer to a deeper understanding of what he sacrificed for our family's sake. "Look here," Alyssa called softly, her finger tracing a passage. "This part mentions a hidden room. Something your father left untouched." Her eyes flickered with intrigue, the kind that in our past would have propelled us into an adventure. "What if the truth lies there?" I hesitated, a chill crawling down my spine as dread clawed at my reason. What more could the house hold? What if it's worse than we think, then we'll deal with it together. Her voice was calm but fervent, offering me a lifeline of reassurance amidst the chaos swirling inside. Despite my reservations, I felt the seed of curiosity blossom, compelling me to explore what had been left unturned. The hidden room wasn't merely a fragment of my father's past, it felt like a cipher to our present, a path leading towards an unsettling truth. "All right, let's find it," I said, suppressing my fear as we prepared to embark on this discovery. As we navigated through the mansion, the crisp air felt electric with unease. A faint sound, akin to a child's laughter, echoed down the long hallway, twisting my gut in an eerie reminder of the past. I glanced at Alyssa, who tensed at the noise, echoing my own apprehension. "Did you hear that?" she whispered, her voice barely perceptible. "Yeah," I replied, my heart racing in sync with each step. When we reached a faded door at the far end, my hands trembled, the wooden surface worn smooth beneath my fingertips. I could feel the weight of anticipation anchoring me, pulling us into the darkness that lay beyond. "This is it," I said, my voice strained, glancing back at Alyssa, seeking her confirmation. She nodded, her expression fierce yet fragile, courage woven through the strands of her fear. "Together," she reminded me, and with a deep breath, I pushed the door open. The room beyond was a time capsule, dark and musty, filled with relics of a life long forgotten. A wooden trunk sat in the corner, its edges warped and covered in dust, the air surrounding it heavy with memories. I approached it slowly, heart hammering against my ribcage. Who knew what words, what echoes of the past awaited us? Within? The air thickened as I knelt before the trunk, fingers trembling with anticipation as I lifted the lid. Inside, the shadows fluttered as a light mist emanated from the depths beneath a heap of faded fabric, a tapestry of history cloaked in secrets. Among the contents, a picture caught my eye, a family portrait, my father standing stoically beside a woman I barely recognized, her smile both bright and haunting. As I studied the picture, a jolt of recognition coursed through me. This isn't my mother, I breathed, panic igniting. Who is she? Before Alyssa could respond, the house shuddered violently around us, the walls creaking as they seemed to absorb the weight of our revelations. With that tremor, a second sound broke through, a low rumble like thunder, followed by a piercing crash from above. In that terrifying moment, realization dawned, this was not just about my father's past, it was our reckoning. The mansion, in all its grandeur, was crumbling under the weight of the truths we had begun to unravel. And just as the air turned thick with impending disaster, I caught sight of something shiny beneath the fabric, pulling away layers of dust to reveal a small locket, tarnished but unmistakable. I reached for it, knowing that it contained a truth that might change everything I thought I knew. But just as my fingers brushed against the cool metal, darkness swallowed the light. The walls threatened to cave in, and reality warped into chaos as deafening cracks filled the air, an ominous signal that our past would not yield without a fight. Alyssa screamed, the sound of desperate plea caught in the spiraling tempest, and before I could react, I felt the ground shift beneath us. I was being forced to confront not just the weight of my father's legacy but the very foundations of my relationship with Alyssa, the ghosts of our past twisting dangerously to consume us both. The dust settled atop the trunk, casting a veil over our discovery that felt like a heavy shroud. My heart raced as the locket lay before me, offering a promise of secrets long buried, but now revealed was the colliding fear of losing not just the past, but the remnants of the life I thought I understood. Alyssa's scream rang in my ears, an anchor pulling me back to the reality of our situation. As she stood frozen, terror etched deep across her features, I could feel the energy shifting around us. The house had transformed from a relic of memories into something monstrous, a living entity conspiring against our primitive curiosity. Alyssa! I shouted above the cacophony of crashing echoes, urgency lacing my words. We need to get out of here. With a desperate leap, I grasped her hand, the warmth of her skin grounding me against the surging panic. But the locket! She cried, glancing back as if it held the key to everything we were searching for, our answer and our undoing. For a moment, time seemed to stretch between us, an unspoken understanding tinged with fear and despair. It could bring us clarity or chaos, I said breathlessly, knowing that the truth was never without its price. But right now, we need to think about getting out. Reluctantly, she nodded, our fingers entwined as we made a hasty retreat from the unfolding destruction. Each step felt like an act of defiance, pushing against the sinister grip of the mansion. The memories belonging to my father whispered around us as we dashed through the hallway, echoing with the lost laughter of children as shadows danced in the flickering candlelight mocking our escape. Suddenly, a loud crash erupted from above, followed by a thundering noise that reverberated through the walls. The ceiling groaned, dust raining down upon us like a storm of despair. We have to hurry. Alyssa urged, her voice trembling as we reached the staircase leading back to the main hall. The silence that had filled the air seemed to thicken, alive with the tension of the past, the haunted breaths of secrets pressing against us. As I glanced back over my shoulder, a chilling sensation overtook me. The portrait from the trunk, my father beside a woman I did not know, flashed across my mind. Something dark awaited us at the end of this path we were traversing, something that connected our histories in ways I had yet to decipher. Our feet pounded against the floor, urgency cutting through the suffocating atmosphere as we reached the grand hall. The massive chandelier swayed violently overhead, each chain rattling ominously. With every ounce of strength, I tugged Alyssa toward the double doors just as the chandelier snapped and plunged to the floor, a shower of glass erupting around us. I could feel the wind of its descent, the bitter reminder that our choices were becoming increasingly desperate. Bursting through the doors into the open air felt like breaking free from a nightmare, the oppressive weight of the mansion finally lifting from our hearts, but reality pressed in once more. We stumbled onto the front lawn, breathless and shaken, the moonlight illuminating the facade of the mansion, elegant yet treacherous, a world of secrets crammed within its walls. That we can't stop now, I gasped, inhaling the crisp night air as if it would cleanse the remnants of our fear. We need to see what's in that locket. Alyssa looked at me, her eyes filled with a mixture of resolve and fear. "Do we really want to know?" she asked softly, uncertainty laced in every syllable. I thought I knew my father, but this I trailed off, gripping the locket that still lay heavy in my pocket, weighing on my conscience. Every time we uncover something, it creates more questions. Each answer pulls me deeper into the darkness. But if we're going to move forward, we must face these shadows together. There was a moment of silence, the soft breeze rustling through the trees as if urging us on. "Okay," she agreed, her voice steadying, reigniting the small flame of hope I so desperately needed. We knew our connection was fragile, each revelation leaving us vulnerable yet strangely intertwined. The weight of the locket became a tether, binding our fates tighter with every step towards the truth. As I pulled it from my pocket, the locket glimmered hauntingly in the moonlight. I could feel Alyssa's breath catch in her throat beside me, the air thick with anticipation. "It's now or never," I muttered as I flicked it open. Inside, nestled like a heart concealed behind a weighty exterior, was a small photograph. The image, small but vivid, sent a rush of cold shock through my veins. In it, the very same woman from the portrait, the woman I didn't know didn't just exist within my father's past, she was standing with a child I recognized all too well. "Alyssa," I struggled to find the words, realization dawning with a chilling clarity, my entire world wobbling on the edge of a knife. The bond one had taken for granted, the very foundation of our lives, was suddenly woven into layers of a dark legacy I was terrified to unearth. "Who is that child?" she whispered, her voice trembling as she leaned closer to the photo, her expression blurring with confusion and dread. As our gazes locked on that image, the ground shifted beneath us once more, the subtle echoes of the mansion still haunting our thoughts from the distance. The shadows around us elongated, reaching towards the inevitable reckoning with the truth we'd been seeking, one that promised to unravel everything we thought we knew. "Someone who will change everything," I whispered, the weight of impending revelation heavy in the air, my heart racing with dread and the flickering flicker of hope, filling the void left by the questions that loomed like specters in the darkness. The moon hung low, an indifferent observer to the chaos within my heart. We stood there, paralyzed by the photo, the weight of its implications crushing us. The child's eyes, so strikingly familiar yet enveloped in a haze of my own denial, seemed to reach out across time. Alyssa's fingers trembled as she traced the outlines of the figures captured in that fragile moment. What if she's connected to your father?" Alyssa's voice barely rose above a whisper, her brow furrowing with realization. Is that your sister?" The word shook me. Sister. I had always thought of my childhood, however imperfect, as neatly wrapped in the simple narrative my father bestowed: 2 parents, 1 son. The thought of siblings lurking in the corners of my history was only an echo of childhood fantasies dashed against the sharp rocks of adulthood. I don't know," I stammered, the words caught like stones in my throat. Memories of my father's smile, of the confident aura he radiated, clashed violently with the dawning understanding that there had been layers to his life I'd never fathomed. What else could he have hidden beneath the facade he crafted? Alyssa turned to me, her eyes gleaming with ancestral fear. "We need to figure this out, for you, for us." It was an unspoken bond we shared, a shared fear of the unknown tethering us closer than the secrets unveiled in that photograph. Her resolve breathed warmth into the chill of uncertainty that entwined us. "That I need to know more," I replied, my voice steadier as the flicker of determination ignited within me. "But how? The mansion, what if there are more clues hidden there?" Just as despair began its cruel ascent, an unexpected kindness appeared in the form of a figure emerging from the tree-line. Ethan, my childhood friend who had always ventured through life without the burdens I carried. His frame stood tall and steady, illuminated by the moonlight, like a beacon of familiarity amidst the uncertainty. "Hey!" he called, his voice devoid of the urgency we'd just escaped. When he reached us, his eyes fell on the locket still clutched in my palm. "You guys okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." That I swallowed hard, trying to shake the burden of revelation from my thoughts. I could feel Alyssa shifting anxiously beside me. I hesitated, debating the wisdom of confiding in him. "We're trying to make sense of something. Something about my family's past." Ethan raised his eyebrows, concern etching his features. Your dad. What did you find? I made a quick decision, the memory of his light-hearted banter contrasting sharply with the heaviness that lay before us. I think I have a sister. A half-sister, maybe from a relationship he never spoke of. Silence enveloped us, punctuated only by the distant rustle of the leaves. Wow, that's big, Ethan said, the gravity of my words finally settling that I could see Alyssa retreating into her own thoughts, the shadows creeping back in as if catching up with us through the fog of our conversation. How did you find this out? Ethan pressed, genuine curiosity lighting his features that I glanced again at the locket, still humming with unanswered questions. It's complicated. We are in need to go back to the mansion. There might be more inside that explains everything. Ethan nodded, determination etched on his face, the kind of resolve only found in those who understand the weight of family heritage. You've got me. Let's go. The mood around us lightened, yet a thread of unease continued to weave through my veins. Together, we ventured forward, the mansion looming like a spectre, cloaked in the frail veil of night. It appeared more ominous now, every creak of the wood beckoning us back into its embrace filled with darkness. With each step, however, hope began to crack through the weight of dread. I thought of the child in the photograph, what life she led now, what laughter filled her days, and how intertwined fate sustained the pulse of family. It was then that I realized this journey wouldn't just be about uncovering familial ties, it would be about reshaping my narrative, reclaiming my story. As we reached the front steps, something caught Alyssa's eye. Wait, she said, her voice suddenly sharp with clarity. She pointed her flashlight toward a pile of shattered glass where the chandelier had fallen earlier. Look there. There, half buried under the shards, lay a piece of paper, stained and crumpled. My heart raced anew, we hadn't accounted for this. I bent down to retrieve it, an odd mix of trepidation and anticipation flooding through my veins. As I unfolded it, my breath hitched, the words blurred in an amalgamation of hope and dread. Handwritten, but barely legible over the creases, were a few ragged lines. To find the truth, seek the heart of the second rose. The words echoed with an untapped gravity, as if they held the key to unraveling not just a mystery, but the very fabric of identity that has shaped my life and those intertwined with it. Behind me, Alyssa shivered as a sudden chill swept over us, foreshadowing unknown dangers. My fingers tingled around the locket, the weight of truth now unmistakable, the unraveling threads of our lives ready to be pulled further apart. Are you ready? Ethan asked, eyes wide with genuine concern yet braced with a hint of enthusiasm. Ready? I echoed, uncertainty battling with an insatiable desire for understanding. I don't think I ever will be. As we slowly crossed the threshold into the mansion, the shadows around us whispered secrets waiting to be unfurled. With each step, the darkness thickened, promising to test our resolve until we unearthed the heart of the second rose and the chilling truth behind my father's legacy. The mansion loomed like a fort fortified by shadows, a vessel of memories steeped in dust and half-glimpsed dreams. Each creak of the floorboards beneath our feet echoed our trepidation, yet buoyed by the hope of discovery, we pressed forward. The air inside was stale, thick with the weight of unspoken histories, secrets birthed in half-light. Alyssa hesitated just inside the doorway, her fingers brushing against a faded wall, its peeling paint a testament to neglect. This place feels alive, she murmured, her voice a mere flicker against the silence. As if it's watching us, waiting for us to unearth what we've buried, more like it's guarding its treasures, I replied, my heart racing. I was both excited and terrified of what lay ahead. Would I find pieces of the man my father was? Or fragments of a life I had no part in? The grand hallway sprawled out before us, shrouded in darkness, only illuminated by the beam of our flashlights. The air was thick with dust, and as I turned my light toward the portraits that lined the walls, I felt a chill crawl down my spine. Each frame held eyes that seemed to follow USA lineage of looks so similar to my own, yet forever estranged. As we moved deeper into the mansion, Ethan suddenly stopped at the base of the grand staircase, his brow furrowed in concentration. What do you think the second rose means? He asked, referencing the note still clenched tight in my hand. That I shook my head, anxiety knotting in my stomach. I have no idea. A clue? A metaphor? Perhaps it's something to do with the gardens. My thoughts raced, thoughts consumed with Flora and the countless layers to my father's life hidden beneath the surface of shattered glass and secrets. Or maybe a person, someone important to your family, Alyssa added, her eyes glinting with the spark of a new idea. If it's a heart, it could symbolize something buried deep in the relationships in your family. The revelation hung in the air, and I felt as if we were assigning layers of meaning to every uncertain expression and shadow that fluttered beyond our sight. "I'll tell you one thing," I said, gripping the locket tighter, "we won't find any answers standing here." We ascended the staircase, the wood beneath us groaning like a distant memory. As we reached the landing, I glimpsed at the door to my parents' bedroom, its grain still smooth despite the dust. Something stirred in me, a combination of longing and dread. What would open those doors reveal? Answers or more labyrinthine questions? With a breath brimming with resolve, I pushed the door open. The room was a shrine to a life suspended in time, the bedspread a faded blue, remnants of my mother's favorite floral print. A half-open closet stood sentinel against one wall, clothes hanging like phantoms waiting for their owners to return. I stepped further inside, every detail amplifying the ache in my chest. I moved to the nightstand where a few books remained, their spines cracked and delicate. As my fingers grazed the covers, a small object slipped from behind them, clattering to the floor. Alyssa and Ethan looked at me, curiosity knitting their brows together as I bent down to pick it up. My breath faltered. It was an old bracelet adorned with a single rose charm, something I'd never seen before. With a shaky hand, I held it up to the light. "What is it?" Alyssa asked, stepping closer. "A charm," I whispered, the connection tightening around my chest like a vice. Could it be the heart of the second rose? Ethan finished, his voice low. The three of us exchanged glances, a silent understanding forming. This charm might be a key, just not in the way we anticipated. Perhaps it belonged to my sister, the embodiment of my father's buried secrets. Had she worn it? Did she even know about me? But before I could voice my thoughts, an unsettling sound echoed through the mansion, heavy footsteps approaching. The air grew thick with tension, uncertainty cloaking us like the remnants of forgotten conversations. "Did you hear that?" Alyssa's voice trembled, a stark contrast to her earlier determination. "Yeah," I whispered back. More firmly than I felt. "We need to get out of here." As we turned to flee, the door slammed shut behind us, a deafening sound that reverberated through the room. Panic surged within my chest, our light flickering as if pushed by an unseen hand. Ethan grabbed the handle, twisting desperately, but it wouldn't budge. "Now what?" he exclaimed, fear creeping into his tone. That I felt the bracelet in my pocket, its presence grounding me. I couldn't let fear overcome logic. "We need to think. There's got to be another way out." Then, as if mocking my desperate thoughts, a voice echoed from behind the hushed, faint laughter of a child, sweet yet haunting. It grazed against the chill of my bones, intertwining with the fragments of hope I still clung to. "Please," I breathed, "tell me I'm not imagining this." But then, just when I thought the laughter would fade into nothingness, it crescendoed, filling the room with an eerie warmth that sent shivers racing down my spine. The figure of a girl appeared at the edge of the corridor, dressed in faded colors, skin glowing with an ethereal light. "Help me," she whispered, her presence sending rigors of recognition coursing through me, igniting the most profound of mysteries buried within my past. I had not expected my ex-wife's laughter to manifest as a spectral plea for help, or that I would find something far larger than my father's secrets. Unraveling this enigma could very well turn my life upside down or endanger us all in ways we couldn't yet comprehend. As the girl held my gaze, the world around us trembled with unspoken truths. The old mansion was a prison of history, and I was determined to unlock its doors. But the threads of the past were tightening with every tick of time. The silence in the room seemed to stretch impossibly thin, like a fragile thread that could snap at any moment. I stood frozen, the bracelet cold in my palm as reality battled with disbelief. The laughter echoed in my mind, intertwining with the ghostly figure before us. There was something familiar about her presence, like a lost piece of my own soul returning from the shadows. "Who are you?" I managed to ask, my voice thick with emotion. The girl's eyes flickered with a knowing warmth, a blend of mischief and sorrow. "I'm here because you called me," she said. "You're looking for answers, and I can help you find them." Alyssa clutched my arm tightly, her fear palpable. "Is this some kind of trick?" she whispered, glancing over her shoulder as if the walls themselves listened intently. "What if it's dangerous? It's not a trick." The girl's voice was as soft as a sigh but firm enough to cut through the uncertainty enveloping us. "There are stories that need to be told, and it's time for the truth to come to light." Ethan stood beside me, his eyes wide with both fear and fascination. "What do you mean? Who are you?" The bravado in his voice cracked ever so slightly, revealing his own trepidation. "That I am your sister," she stated, a hint of vulnerability creeping into her tone. "Well, half-sister, I suppose. I never got the chance to meet you." Her words ignited a whirlwind of emotions within me, a mixture of anguish and longing that nearly overwhelmed my senses. "This doesn't make sense," I exclaimed, backing away slightly. The implications of her assertion clawed at me like thorns. "You're saying my father had another child? Why didn't I know?" The girl shook her head gently, her expression somber. "It was never meant to be hidden, not like this. But your father was scared, afraid of what it would mean to bring me into your life. He wanted to protect you and me. But you're dead," I whispered, my mind racing as I tried to comprehend the twisted notion that reality was unfurling before me like a poorly written page in a book. She nodded slowly, her form shimmering, as if reflecting the emotional turmoil of her existence. "So now I'm a memory, a whisper. But my past is tethered to yours. If you're going to understand your father, if you want to find your way out of this maze, you must listen to the stories buried here." Before I could process this bombshell revelation, the mansion itself seemed to stir, floors creaking, shadows shifting as if they held a life of their own. The door remained unyielding behind us, trapping our fate. I clutched the bracelet tighter, feeling the weight of my family's history pressing down upon me. "Where do we begin?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper, uncertain but driven by the urge to uncover the truth. A flicker of hope ignited within me, illuminating a path through the darkness. The girl gestured towards the dust-laden desk in the corner, cluttered with forgotten remnants. "Start there. There are letters, truths left behind, messages from a past that might help you understand our family. But be careful, not all secrets are pleasant." That I glanced at Alyssa and Ethan, searching their eyes for support. We all shared the weight of the moment, a bond solidifying in the face of crumbling walls, our shared fear blurring the lines between reality and the spectral realm. With no other option, I inched toward the desk, heart hammering in my chest. As I rummaged through the papers scattered atop the desk, time felt suspended, each letter yellowed with age, a glimpse into lives intertwined. An envelope with my father's faded handwriting caught my eye, and I hesitated, a cold shiver coursing through my body. "Do you think it will explain everything?" Ethan asked, voice trembling as he leaned closer. "I don't know," I exhaled, feeling the enormity of the moment, the pull of the unknown. I knew I had to confront whatever lay inside this unopened letter, for myself and for the sister I had never met. But just as I reached for it, the laughter crested again, and the girl's face shifted, revealing a deep concern that sent dread spiraling through me. "You must hurry. There. Coming," she urged, urgency tinging her voice. "Who's coming?" Alyssa demanded, her eyes widening in alarm, as the laughter morphed into a chorus of chaotic whispers drowning out our thoughts. Before I could respond, the air thickened, and the door slammed shut even harder, rattling the walls around us. Shadows flickered, morphing into dark shapes writhing as if alive with malicious intent. "Please. You have to listen," the girl implored, her voice rising above the chaos. "Stay focused on the truth. It's the only way out." And then, with a shattering crash that echoed in my bones, the glass window beside the desk exploded inward, showering us with shards. A figure darted through the opening, cloaked in darkness, shrouded in panic. "Run!" I shouted, instinct taking over as the ghostly girl flickered uncertainly beside me. My heart raced with the realization that the truth was drawing nearer, darker forces attempting to keep it hidden. The mansion, once a sanctuary of discovery, morphed into a battleground of memories and secrets, and as I bolted for the door, I could sense its grip tightening around me, the very fabric of my family history warring to reveal itself. "Please don't leave me," the girl cried, reaching out as I hesitated, torn between fleeing and daring to glean the truth she offered. But the weight of the choice spiraled into chaos. I could feel the darkness closing in, and as the figure lunged towards me, I knew that my journey was only just beginning, and so was the nightmare tethered to uncovering my past. With my heart pounding, I took one last glance back before the shadows engulfed us, the unsettling laughter echoing in the corridors of the mansion, blending with the cries of my spirit sister, forever changing the course of my life. The shadows loomed around us as we tumbled through the shattered windows' remnants, the dust swirling like a storm of lost hopes. The air felt charged with an electric tension that whispered of secrets both urgent and suffocating. I could still hear the echoes of laughter in my mind, hauntingly familiar yet tainted with sorrow, and it pulled at me like an anchor dragging me under. "Where do we go?" Alyssa gasped, urgency in her voice mingling with genuine fear as we stumbled into the hallway, the once majestic paintings on the walls now mere silhouettes against the chaos encroaching on us. "Follow me," Ethan urged, his grasp on reason faltering as we navigated through the dimly lit corridor, weaving past remnants of what used to be. The mansion felt alive, breathing heavily around us, and every footfall was met with a response from its haunted heart, echoing the voices of those who once dwelled here. My mind raced, darting from the past to the present, every second pooled in silence until we reached the grand staircase. The girlish sister I never knew I had lingered in my thoughts like a half-remembered dream. Her plea for us to listen twisted in my gut. Maybe understanding our family was tied to understanding her and the darkness lurking within our shared history. Ethan turned back, his eyes wide, searching for answers. "What do we do about her?" "If she's real, if she was real, she is real," I shot back, the strength in my voice surprising even me. "But we can't focus on that now. We need to find a way out." That's when I saw the flickering light spilling from the library, a warm glow amidst the encroaching shadows. It beckoned like a lighthouse in a tempestuous sea, and without further hesitation, we rushed towards it, hoping it would lead us to refuge or answers. As we barreled through the library doors, the atmosphere instantly shifted, the flickering candles casting long shadows that danced like spirits caught between worlds. My heart thudded in my chest as I surveyed the room, books lining the walls from floor to ceiling, each tome holding secrets of its own. The ghostly girl appeared in the corner of my eye, and I felt her presence stronger inside this room filled with knowledge. "You'll find the truth here," she whispered softly, drawing my gaze to a weathered book on a pedestal, its spine cracked but the title clear, "The Truth We Buried." I approached it cautiously, apprehensive of what kind of revelations lay within, as though simply touching it could unravel everything I thought I knew about myself and the family I'd always yearned to understand. Alyssa and Ethan lingered nearby, huddled together, uncertainty painting their expressions. "Are you sure about this?" Alyssa asked, her voice a mix of anxiety and apprehension. But I felt its pull, the desperate need to unearth the truth that lay dormant. "We need to know," I urged, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands as I opened the cover. The smell of old paper wafted towards me, a nostalgic scent that mingled with an undercurrent of something darker, something hidden beneath the surface. As I began to read, the words flowed like shadows emerging from the ink. Each paragraph unraveled secrets of a life I never knew, tales of love and betrayal, a family fractured by choices and circumstances that spiraled out of control. The letters I found on the desk echoed in my mind, dusty echoes of love letters, lost promises, and unfulfilled dreams. "Listen," I murmured as I turned the pages, my heart racing with every revelation. The mansion itself seemed to tilt around us, steeped in nostalgia and pain, reminding us that happiness often comes at a price. Suddenly, a cold shiver coursed through the library as the door slammed shut behind us, the sound reverberating like a growl in the stillness. The glow flickered wildly as shadows crawled along the walls, forming a tapestry of haunting figures, a family caught in an eternal cycle of despair. "Something's not right," Ethan said, his voice breaking through my reverie. "We need to leave." "No. We can't." I felt the urgency of knowledge suffused with the terror of the past clawing back at us. The laughter, the darkness, and the palpable fear were rising, demanding that we confront them. "There's more," I shouted, frustration bubbling to the surface. My heart longed to glean more about this sister I hadn't known about, a thread connecting us through a history marred by sorrow and secrets. We can't run away from it, Alyssa's eyes locked onto mine. You're right, but we have to be ready for what we find. If this place holds the answers, it may also hold or awaken something far worse. Just as she spoke, the shadows converged with a deafening silence, and from the depths of the darkness emerged a form of figure cloaked in the gloom, eyes gleaming with an impossible hunger. With a gut-wrenching sense of dread, I realized it was the manifestation of my family's darkest secrets, the laughter merging into a haunting chorus as it approached, twisting into a malicious grin. "Leave my family alone," I shouted, brandishing the book like a weapon, the words within haunting me. Behind me, Alyssa and Ethan clutched each other, fear etched on their faces, yet rooted in place as the figure's presence bore down on us. "No one can leave until the truth is told," its voice reverberated, casting icy fingers through my chest. "And you will learn that every choice has a consequence that ripples through time, binding us all together." As the shadows enveloped us, reality trembled like a fragile glass globe poised to shatter, and I realized with a sinking heart that uncovering the truth might be our only salvation, or our ultimate undoing. In that moment, the realization struck me fiercely. What if my father's true past held a secret darker than I could ever fathom? What if confronting these memories meant not only facing the secrets of my family but also unleashing untold horrors that had been waiting, dormant and dangerous, just beyond the reach of our understanding? And just as the figure lunged toward us, giving chase into the depths of the library, a chilling scream echoed through the halls, a familiar voice rising against the cacophony. "Run!" resounded with a desperate urgency from behind us, and my heart froze in horror as I recognized it. My father, his voice laced with fear, piercing through the encroaching shadows. That single call echoed through me, binding my fate to that of my family's and sending a jolt of dread down my spine. The shadows may have come alive, but the truth was all I could rely on now, and truth could be a dangerous beast of its own. The sound of my father's voice cut through the chaos, pulling me back to a time when the world felt simpler, less tainted by secrets and betrayals. "Run!" he urged, an echo of desperation that sent shivers crawling along my skin. With that singular word, a whirlwind of emotions crashed over me: love, fear, regret. The very essence of our fractured family danced dangerously in front of me, igniting the unrelenting fire of raw determination. "We have to go," I shouted, grasping Alyssa's arm, feeling her pulse of fear sync with mine. Ethan's presence anchored me, his resolve palpable as we collectively turned away from the figure that pursued us like a predator hungering for more than just truth. The shadows flickered, and with every fleeting glance, I could feel the eyes that once watched my family now taking stock of us as their prey. Together, we darted toward the library's exit, panic propelling us with urgency, even as the chilling laughter rang out again, the laughter of my sister, blending in a haunting harmony with the whisper of my father's pleading voice. It felt wrong and yet unyielding, pulling at the fabric of our souls, but the darkness reverberated, refusing to yield or give way. With each desperate step, the mansion seemed to shift around us, hallways elongating, doors vanishing, and forcing us to confront the unfurling terror that dwelled within. The air was thick with the remnants of laughter and echoes of memories long suppressed, taunting us, reminding us just how fragile our reality was. I felt a sudden surge of clarity, ignited by the knowledge of my sister's existence, a key to uncovering our family's painful tapestry woven from darkness and joy intermingled like threads intertwining in a complicated knot. "The book!" I yelled suddenly, halting in my tracks. "It can help us understand." My heart raced as I turned back, knowing that the whisper of our shared past lay trapped within the pages, waiting to be freed. No. Alyssa's eyes flared with trepidation. "We can't take any more chances." She tugged at me, her voice a frantic plea woven with fear yet laced with love, but as I peered into the curtain of darkness, I understood, deep within my core, the only way to break this vicious cycle was to confront it head-on. That ghostly figure had to be faced, not just for the truth I sought, but for the legacy I wanted to create, a legacy untouched by fear, steeped only in love. With resolve pulsing through me like fire, I pulled away from Alyssa's grasp, darting back toward the pedestal where the book lay. At that moment, the shadows lashed out, coiling around my ankles, but an unseen force pushed back against the darkness, illuminating the path back to the truth. I grabbed the weathered tome, the spine warm beneath my fingertips, and the moment I did, a wave of warmth washed over me, a promise of light cutting through the depths of despair. Alyssa. Ethan. I found it. I shouted, my voice reverberating with triumph. But my celebration was short-lived as the figure whirled closer, its form coalescing into something more malicious, the face now twisting in the shadows, revealing itself in the sickly glow. Enough of your games. It hissed, teeth glinting in the half-light like daggers. You will not leave with the truth. It is buried and will remain so until you understand the cost. Let us choose our own path. I cried, placing the book before me as if to serve as a shield, a barrier against the suffocating dread. We won't be chained by your darkness anymore. And as my voice rang true, the figure recoiled, the shadows swirling like a tempest around it. I could feel the weight of my father's legacy pressing against me, challenging my will, demanding to be laid bare as I gripped the book more fiercely. Suddenly, a fierce wind swept through the library, the pages flapping open like wings, revealing a kaleidoscope of memories, stories of my sister, her laughter intertwining with mine, revealing the joys and sorrows that had shaped us both. Each story swirled within my thoughts, images flickering before my eyes, guiding me deeper into the mystery. Together, well. Face our truth. I shouted, the determination for both of us, elated by the strength we shared through bloodlines and bonds forged in tragedy. It felt like my father was watching, urging me on, and for the first time, I felt the burden on my shoulders being lifted, as though the mansion itself granted me permission to breathe. The figure reared back, shrieking as if caught in a gale as we began chanting the truths held within the book. Memories uncoiled like vines, unfurling the tapestry of family, radiant love intertwined with painful choices, the swirling essence of our lives dancing amid the storm. Your secrets will dissolve with understanding. I shouted again, feeling the cadence of our voices rise as a shield. We are stronger together. And in that moment, as if the very elements conspired, the shadows dimmed, flickering like candles caught in a whirlpool of light. The figure, once monstrous, began to dissolve, caught in the tides of revelation that coursed through the air. A series of beautiful images cascaded around us, the love that had once flourished in this mansion, the laughter of siblings echoing through brightly lit rooms, camaraderie defying despair. The darkness peeled away, layer by layer, like an onion shedding its skin, until the haunting face morphed into a flickering cascade of memories that resembled my sister, illuminated with hope, purity, and courage. What have you done? The figure's voice softened, lost amid the echoes. You've broken the chains. It faded, shadows retreating, the room slowly filling with light, illuminating the path forward. Suddenly, silence enveloped Ashivi with the weight of freedom and choice, the air clearer now. Alyssa and Ethan rushed to my side, their expressions alight with disbelief. What just happened? Alyssa whispered, her eyes wide, shimmering with unshed tears. New beginnings, I breathed, my voice trembling with wonder. I could feel the presence of my sister, echoing through our shared sorrow and laughter. The truth not only liberates, it forges the bonds we never knew we had. As we stood there, backlit by the fading shadows, I was finally ready to embrace the fractures, knowing they made us whole. I felt Alyssa grasp my hand tightly, a conduit of love and understanding, the weight of fear shattered as Ethan smiled, a glimmer of hope dancing between us. No matter what darkness we carried forward, we would face it as only family birthed from the ashes of despair. In the end, I realized that laughter could still exist within heartache, a bittersweet melody reminding us that we could forge connections even from fractured histories. Perhaps that was the true legacy, woven together, past and present melding into something beautiful. And as we stepped out into the moonlight, casting light on the uncertain paths ahead, I knew that we had become the architects of our own story, stitching together a new narrative riddled with love, acceptance, and above all, the embrace of truth. Race to new beginnings, I whispered to the night sky, feeling at peace as we walked hand in hand, ready to embrace whatever came next. From laughter lost to the undeniable, hopeful symphony of life, we would reignite the joy mingled within our veins, forever intertwining our fates. As we emerged from the mansion, the sun began to rise on the horizon, a reminder that even in darkness, light would always find a way back into the world. And I understood then no silence could steal our laughter, no darkness could extinguish our light. After all, standing together, we were stronger than any secret, and our laughter was just the beginning of a magnificent journey.